Seeing the Wilsons walking out of the villa, I noticed Tom hurriedly taking a few gift boxes from the trunk. He approached Jeff, my stepfather, and handed over the boxes. They're a token of the Medici family's appreciation. Thanks for taking care of Miss Medici for years. Jeff quickly responded, that's really unnecessary. Abella is like our real daughter. Skylar, my stepmother, cut him off, saying, gifts aren't necessary. You may take her back. I'm sure her family can't wait to see her. She then arrogantly walked back into the villa, with Isla, my stepsister, following her, trying hard not to laugh mockingly. Jeff stood there awkwardly. Well, have a safe trip then. Oh, and don't forget your gifts. Tom hesitated, knowing Mr. and Mrs. Medici wanted the Wilsons to accept the gifts. Mr. Wilson, perhaps it's better for you to take the gifts. There, Jeff interrupted him, walking back inside. Tom was left puzzled, thinking, why do I have the feeling that none of the Wilsons likes Miss Medici? I had been silent all this time. Picking up the car door that had fallen off during the rear-end collision, I easily put it back in place. Let's go, I said. Tom was slack-jawed, amazed at my strength. On the way, he occasionally glanced at me through the rearview mirror, thinking, the more I look, the more she strikes me as the younger version of Mrs. Medici. Her every move is so elegant. Aren't we going to Dreamstream Village? I suddenly asked. Tom snapped out of it. Oh, it's Mr. and Mrs. Medici's hometown. They now live in New York. New York was the most economically developed first-tier city in the country. Jeff was the richest man in economic city in the northern region, having moved to New York at the beginning of the year. His personal wealth had exceeded $100 million, which was why Skylar was so arrogant. In the Rolls-Royce, Tom respectfully said, Miss Medici, we are about 12 miles from Long Island Manor, where your family lives. You may take a nap if you're tired. I was secretly surprised. My family lives in Long Island Manor, but it's located in the most expensive villa area in New York. How so? I thought. Mind if we make a stop at NYU Medical Center? I asked. Miss Medici, are you feeling unwell? Tom asked nervously. No, I want to go visit Grandma before I leave, I said. Barbara Wilson, the only one among the Wilsons who truly cared for me, had fallen ill and was hospitalized. 10 minutes later, Tom stopped the car at the entrance of NYU Medical Center. I got out and softly said, thanks, Tom. You may find a spot and wait for me there. In room 301 of NYU Medical Center's inpatient department lay an aged woman with gray hair. Her face was gaunt and skeletal due to her suffering from illness. When I entered, she was unconscious, her eyes closed, and her face deadly pale. I walked on tiptoe to her bedside, overwhelmed by sadness. Grandma used to be so vigorous. Since when did she become so weak? I thought. Abella, Randy Smith, a young doctor doing rounds, looked up at me and then continued to write in the medical record. You're just in time. We need to talk. None of the current heart medications are working for Mrs. Wilson. Increasing the dosage used to help, but not anymore. You know better than anyone that end-stage heart failure means the patient's heart has reached its limit. Nothing can be reversed. The fact that she's lived this long is already a miracle. Without a word, I tossed a small bottle over. I brought the latest developed pills, I said. Heart-saving pills? Randy was shocked. Abella, where did you get this? Don't mind that. Anyway, Grandma's condition can be stabilized for now, I said calmly. Looking at my delicate face, Randy was amazed. He had a prestigious medical family background and was arrogant though he was new here, but he knew he ought to be humble compared to me. I'm sure the Wilsons won't spend $1.5 million on this, he said. Enough talking. Just take care of her for me, okay? I said, looking at Barbara with reluctance. Gotta go. I knew that if Barbara woke up and saw me, she would become even more emotional, worsening her condition. Randy glanced at me and said softly, I've got this. Don't worry. As I left room 301, I saw several doctors rushing to room 306. One of them accidentally bumped into me. I glanced inside and saw an elderly man on the bed, in bad shape. One doctor said he stopped taking his medication without permission. He was risking his life. Another asked, what should we do now? Has his family been notified? The first replied, his family is on their way. We can only wait for his family to decide whether to operate or not. Standing at the door of room 306, I casually said, he'll be dead before his family shows up. Hearing that, the flustered doctors turned to look at me. What do you know? Aaron Hopkins, the male chief physician, glanced at me sideways. His condition is very complicated. If we were confident, we would have saved him right away. Is rheumatic heart disease that tricky for you? I asked indifferently. You can tell? Aaron was a bit surprised. An aged female chief physician was also taken aback. You know something about medicine? If you know it's caused by rheumatic heart disease, Then you must know that his condition requires valve replacement surgery. He has already undergone valve replacement surgery, Aaron explained. Is that so? I guess the only explanation is that you didn't use a full course of antibiotics, which led to infection and paravalvular leakage, I said nonchalantly. My words left all the doctors stunned. Seriously? She really knows something about medicine. She even knows about paravalvular leakage. Ryan went off his meds and didn't have adequate antibiotic treatment, leading to infection and paravalvular leakage. Are you really wasting your time arguing with a girl? Where's Sir Bourbon's family? Said Zachary Brown, the most renowned cardiac specialist in the hospital. Dr. Brown, someone responded respectfully, though sounding anxious. At their current speed, I'm afraid it's gonna be at least 20 minutes. Too bad that Ryan couldn't afford 20 minutes. His condition was extremely critical, and the success rate of surgery in this situation was less than 10%. The doctor's hands were tied. They could do nothing but wait for Ryan's family.